Welcome to the Gentleman's Guide to Vampires, and a legend, the True Brujah. Really, I would have expected you to ask me of something of a bit more weight and material than the True Brujah, but let's entertain the notion that they existed once upon a time. Let's entertain the notion that Troil, of the 4th generation of Clan Brujah, rose up, diablerized his sire, and that is how Clan Brujah was founded. And that Troil only did this during the period of Carthage, which would make Clan Brujah only 2,500 years old. That doesn't seem right, does it? And that the True Brujah were the original child and the original grandchild of the original Brujah clan founder, pre-diablery. What this would also mean is that the Brujah, the rage-filled Brujah that we know and love in these lights, all descend from one 4th generation vampire that existed around 2,000 years ago, and that every other Brujah from every other 4th generation Brujah just disappeared, and just did nothing. That when their antediluvian was being diablerized, they just sat still, didn't care, didn't raise a finger to stop it, and then they just slipped off into the darkness and just disappeared from memory. Obvious nonsense, isn't it? Obviously just a fable, spread around by the enemies of the Brujah, notably the Ventrue, a few followers of Set. They like to bring the Brujah down, make them seem like rabble-rousers, make them seem like they don't know what they're doing, and that they have absolutely no control of their temper, and that they diablerize their antediluvian, and that they are kinslayers. When, in fact, the True Brujah, of course, never existed. The Brujah have existed since Enoch, just like all the rest of the main clans. But let's keep entertaining this urban legend notion that the True Brujah did exist. That they do exist. That the reason they exist is because they exist out of time. Let's entertain the notion that they exist, and they choose for people not to know about them. They choose for the jihad to ignore them. Now, if you decide to go with that line of thinking, you might well be terrified. Why? Because if vampires can exist for over 2,500 years without notice, if vampires can operate in the jihad and not be picked up by some Canaanite scholar and proven to the world of darkness that they exist. Look at the Kia Seed. They're fairly circumspect, but we know they're around. The Samdi, they're revolting. They have their fingers in many jihadi pies, and yes, we know of them. The Salubri, they are a fallen clan, we know of them. The Cappadocians, the Bali. If the True Brujah are that well equipped at hiding their existence, how powerful are they? Or perhaps we're worrying about them in a way that people with very little rationality worry about the Illuminati or the Inconnu to keep things on a vampiric bent. We worry about them because we can't see them, but we can't see them because they don't exist. Perhaps they do, and they're in such a small number that they do have absolutely no impact on the chessboard that is the final night jihad, and yet the rumour persists, specifically around old Brujah and the occasional follower of Set. Followers of Set do love telling these tales, as if they've got an in-line somehow. Followers of Set will tell you that there is a clan called the True Brujah. They're known as the Eloi. Why are they known as the Eloi? Well, that is the name of the children, the odd race of banal, weak, pale, somewhat placid people in H.G. Wells' Time Machine. Time is a big factor when considering the True Brujah. We've already talked about the time that has elapsed since their supposed destruction, or indeed whether they existed at all, but let's say the last 2 millennia. They also supposedly have a power over time. The followers of Set will tell you that the Eloi can manipulate time itself, that they can exist out of time, that they can draw back the curtain and step through the portal, and lo and behold, it's 200 years later. Now, although any other vampire can do that, they just sink into torpor and wake up 2 centuries later. They've got some faithful friends or allies that will wake them up for them. No, the True Brujah don't need to go to sleep. They will adjust time themselves. Hell, it's even said that the True Brujah can manipulate time to slow it down. Some True Brujah claim that celerity is a bastardization of their discipline, temporis. The temporis is true manipulation over time, and celerity is just a crude version of it. Now, that may well have some weight, except in the Book of Nod it does detail Cain's practicing and discovery of the discipline of celerity, so perhaps temporis is a bastardization of celerity. Think of that. Temporis supposedly allows a vampire of the True Brujah clan, bloodline, call them what you will, to speed up the decomposition of another vampire perhaps, or disappear in time only to appear somewhere else, to just stop time briefly and observe everything that's going on whilst not being able to affect any of it. That kind of thing. But how would we know if they could? If they could stop time, we wouldn't notice. If they could travel forward in time, well, how is that any different than a vampire sinking into torpor and then re-emerging 20 years later? How would we know? No True Brujah are coming forward to tell us. The followers of Set would again lead us to believe that the True Brujah had joined a sect called the Tal Mahera. Tal Mahera being the True Black Hand, or the Magnus Nigrim. A bizarre sect, probably older than the Sabbat and Camarilla put together, that was dedicated to protecting the Shadowland city of Enoch, the dark reflection of the original city, and supposedly the torpid body of Cain and various other antediluvians. The True Black Hand were in large part constructed by the True Brujah and a number of other bloodlines that we'll cover at another juncture. But again, who can say? When there's tempests and maelstroms rolling through the Shadowlands, destroying cities left, right and centre, why would a city that was supposedly constructed several thousand years ago still be standing? Vampires are no more powerful in the underworld than mortals are, for the most part, and so it is said that the True Brujah made a weird alliance with various mages that also had power over death, the Euthanatos, and yet from what little I know of the Euthanatos, they have not been around for several thousand years, so what were the True Brujah doing to survive out there until then? The True Brujah are, I suppose, a mystery of a sort, because the occasional Brujah shows up that does not have the common rage, the common need to frenzy, that power, that passion, that fire inside, that Promethean fire, that makes all Brujah stand out among other vampires as being among the most human. Rather, the True Brujah are utterly passionless. The True Brujah are styled as cold, aloof sociopaths. They want to see how things work. So if they kill you, they won't do it slowly. At least, if they do, they'll do it slowly just to see how quickly you bleed out. But they won't have a smile on their face, because what do they care? They've been around for millennia, watching their close friends and allies and loved ones die, their childer be wiped out by Brujah hit teams that have supposedly been going around for 2,000 years, unbeknownst to any other vampire. And now they just want to examine the world. They want to know why it keeps turning, how to stop it, how to speed it up, and how to bring about Gehenna. Oh, that's right. If you believe the rumours of the True Brujah, they are not just some placid, calm thinkers who are quite happy, quite content rather, happy would be too strong a word to describe a True Brujah, to sit on a throne and watch as the world grinds itself to a halt. No, they would speed the process up with their discipline of temporis and by bringing about Gehenna. The True Brujah have supposedly gone about chronicling the name and haven of every single vampire that exists to the final nights, just so they can present a book of all of this information to the antediluvians when they wake up. and say, "Behold, look what we have done. We are your servants. Now go and wipe out the disbelievers, especially these ones. These ones are usurpers, these Brujah. They put us here. They wiped out their true founder. They renounced cold, calm reason. We are the clan that invented Golconda, and the Brujah threw that back in our faces. We are the true Brujah, the true witches, the true Eloi, the true manipulators of time, of life, of vampirism. We are the favoured bloodline of Cain, and this is how we have been treated. We are able to sit back and never give in to our beast, because we are the vampires of Golconda. We will never give in to our rage. We will never shed a drop of blood without having prior intent to do so. And yet we have to hide in shadow. We have to pretend that we are hunted and that we are despised and that we are endangered because, well, perhaps we are. Perhaps if we confronted the Brujah with what truly happened, their frenzy, their need to lash out will be uncontrollable and we won't be able to stop them because, well, maybe we won't care to. Perhaps you could imagine the True Brujah as tragic. Maybe they weren't always so cold, maybe they weren't always so uncaring, but they are. If they exist, they coldly watch, they coldly manipulate. They will see the end of the world come as some bitter, cold revenge against the clan that usurped them. And then, and only then, when they have woken up every other antediluvian and those antediluvians have smashed out the usurpers known as Clan Brujah, will the True Brujah feel enough emotion to eke out a fraction of a smile?